Now, I'm not saying Ndamukong Suh and Albert Hainsworth are exactly alike, but they do have several things in common with each other, both from a career standpoint, personal standpoints, skill standpoints. They have some things in common. Now, Suh has a way better work ethic history than Albert Hainsworth ever had. That would be the one primary difference between them. However, for the most part, the rest of their qualities are more similar than they are not. And if anyone out there can tell me when a team signed a defensive tackle to a huge free agent deal and it made them a Super Bowl team, please let me know, and I will retract any hesitation I have towards teams pursuing Ndamukong Suh and giving him a super fat giant contract. But to me, it doesn't make any sense to spend the kind of money on a defensive tackle, which you're going to have to get Suh, when you could be getting a left tackle and a right tackle for that, or you could be getting a pass rusher and a wide receiver for that, or you could be getting a franchise quarterback for that, or you could be getting a shutdown defensive back for that. There are so many other places on the football field where that amount of money on one player can be way better spent. Heck, for as much as Suh's going to cost whatever team gets him, that team could just as easily, and would be better off, by the way, to just go out, spend that same amount of money on two defensive tackles that are not Ndamukong Suh, but maybe they're the fourth and fifth best defensive tackles available. I think you'd be better off doing that. Get two players for the price of one. And I'm willing to bet that those two players combined will have more production than what you would be paying one person in Ndamukong Suh to do. But that's just my opinion. We'll see what happens. I can guarantee you this, though, somebody's going to give him a lot of money. And we'll just have to wait and see if it works out for him or not. All right, another NFL player that is going to be parting ways with his team is Andre Johnson of the Houston Texans. Now, he has been given permission to seek a trade after following the Texans informing him that they planned on reducing his role in the offense this coming season. It is highly unlikely, I feel, that they will find any trade suitors given how much money his current contract schedules him to make this upcoming season. He is 33 years old. He's been in the league 12 years. He has been a great receiver, but he is definitely on the downslide of his career and has not shown an ability to consistently stay healthy and be on the field for 16 games either. So what is likely to happen there within the next week or so would be that the Texans grant him his request to be released. They simply cut him, and he hits the free agent market and looks to sign with a new team. That is what I expect to happen. And coincidentally enough, there is another 33-year-old that will not be playing for his one and only team that he has played for this next year as well as Andre Johnson, and that is Troy Polamalu. Troy Polamalu is only 33, that's right. He feels like he's been in the league way longer than that, doesn't it? Feels like he would be in his more mid to late 30s. Mid to late 30s. But anyway, he is only 33, and he is contemplating retirement. However, the Steelers have come out and said that if he doesn't choose the retirement option, that he will have to find a different team to play for because they don't want him back. So, real tough situation if you're Troy Polamalu or a Troy Polamalu fan, in my opinion. Troy's been an amazing player, super productive at his position, classy guy, great character on and off the field, great ambassador for the team and the league. And he's basically being told, either stop working or go work somewhere else because we don't want you here anymore. Which, that's unfortunate, but it is the nature of the beast that is the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see if he does choose to retire and just be a Steeler his whole career, or if he feels like he's still got a few years of good, productive football left in him and chooses to go somewhere else to show that. We'll have to wait and see. Now, it was also reported earlier today that Peyton Manning has agreed to to a $4 million pay cut to come back and play another season with the Denver Broncos. He does have to pass a physical yet, which he will be taking in the next 24 hours, is what's expected. But that's all pretty much technicalities, and it's basically a 1-year, $15 million done deal, as opposed to the $19 million that he was scheduled to make, should he come back. So look for the next NFL season to be the likely Peyton Manning farewell tour. Should be interesting to see that play out. He's already got pretty much every record in the book for individual single-season passing statistics. So he'll extend some of those yet. And who knows, maybe he'll get lucky and win that last elusive Super Bowl title. But I do know one thing, it will be a little different and a little weird watching an entire NFL season here in, likely 2 years, not this next year, but in 2 years likely, without Peyton Manning. He just becomes such a big part of the league. Just one of those guys you're used to always seeing, always hearing about, enjoying him play. Similar a little bit to Favre in that regard. But it'll take a little while to get used to Peyton Manning not being in the NFL. But we still got at least one more year of him, barring any sort of injury setbacks. So that's good. Let's see. All right. Potential and likely first overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft, Jameis Winston, has been meeting with the owners of the Bucs down in Tampa, who have the first pick in the draft. This week he was doing that, and apparently that is unprecedentedly early for a player to be having private personal meetings with ownership. Now, this doesn't guarantee that they'll be taking Winston with the first overall pick, but he is definitely their first choice, obviously, from all of this and everything we've heard, assuming he continues to check out on everything that they are looking into in this process. But the more interesting Jameis Winston news, in my opinion, is that he has filed to trademark the term Famous Jameis. That's right, he is anointing himself with a nickname and trademarking it, I believe. So congratulations, Marshawn Lynch. You are officially influencing the next generation of young football stars. And hey, what a great segue. Speaking of Marshawn Lynch speaked. Can you believe it? That's right. He talked to the media. Yeah. The Turkish media over in Turkey. So, yeah. So apparently, if you want to hear Marshawn Lynch's thoughts on anything, you just have to fly him over to Turkey and have one of the members of their media interview him, and then he will talk. But so he opened up on a show and said that he expected the ball there. Also that he had no problem with the play that was called, and that he expects his teammates to execute on that because they've done it so many times. Which, when you hear the context he said that in, it almost feels like he's jabbing at his teammates just a tiny bit. But then he gets into the most interesting part of it to me, and he starts talking about how if he gets the ball on that play, he's going to score a touchdown, and that will make him the face of the nation because he would be the Super Bowl MVP and the guy who got the game-winning touchdown, and that's the face of the nation at that time in our country, and that by giving him the ball and him getting that touchdown, that would have been him. And then he also said that might not have been a good thing for that to happen. You can't tell if he seriously agrees with that or if it's his way of turning things around and making a point without actually saying it. But the point is, when you watch him and listen to him bring it up, you can tell that he does have some genuine question marks as to if that was factored into that play call, not wanting him to be the guy to get the game-winning touchdown and be the Super Bowl MVP. And I hear a lot of people dismiss that and say it's ridiculous. And while I am in no way saying I think that for sure was the reason for the play calling, I also don't think that you can just disregard that theory as nonsense because it is one of the only sensible explanations for the play call. And I'm not talking about a pass, I'm talking about a quick slant. Not just a pass. There are plenty of smart pass plays that they could have called there that would have worked out great, or at least allowed them to get to third and fourth down like they said they were doing. But what they announced as their strategy at the end of the game for that situation that led to the controversial play call, that didn't correspond with the actual play call they called at all. So it isn't outside the realm of possibility that that was a contributing factor to the play call, that they didn't want Marshawn to get the touchdown because it would have made him MVP, and they would have preferred it to be Russell Wilson being MVP or anyone other than Marshawn. I'm not saying I believe that to be the case, but I believe it to be a possibility, and anyone who doesn't believe it to be a possibility needs to come up then with an actual logical explanation of what they did that doesn't include that, because I've heard almost all of them by now, and there isn't one other than that. So, anyway. Alright, but that finally brings us to Mr. Adrian Peterson, or Tradrian Peterson, as I've seen some people calling him lately, which is clever, by the way, but I hope that doesn't happen. But, as of right now, Adrian Peterson is set to get reinstated sometime, unless the NFL wins their appeal of Adrian's appeal, of the NFL's appeal, of his appeal, if there's about it. We're on like appeal number 7,000 now. Whatever. It's just a never-ending process. But anyway, in the most recent outcome, it favored AP, and it's looking like he might be able to come back and play here by the start of next season, and that we will know what that status is before the draft, which is the more important thing. Now, the Vikings have come out repeatedly and said that their number one priority focused goal is to have Adrian Peterson back on the Vikings next year. While Adrian Peterson has come out and basically said, without exactly saying it, but he's basically said, I don't want to play for the Vikings anymore. I want a fresh, clean start. I'd prefer it to be in Dallas. If not Dallas, the Colts, the Chargers, the Cardinals, and one other team were on what I saw his list of teams that he'd like to play for. So they're very not on the same page, it seems like, or at least what we're hearing. But he did meet with Spielman and Zimmer. I saw the video of them hugging outside his house. And if nothing else, there's open dialogue, and we're going to get a decision. And people are going to be able to move on, whether it be together or not together. And to me at this point, it really doesn't matter. If Adrian Peterson refuses to be a Minnesota Viking anymore, that's fine. I wish him the best of luck in his career. Go somewhere, be successful and happy, just not at our expense. However, I find it extremely disappointing and hypocritical on Adrian Peterson's part to not want to come back to Minnesota, especially for the reasons he's citing of them not being supportive enough of him. What do you want them to do exactly? Do you want them to cancel their games? We're not going to show up and play unless you bring Adrian Peterson back because what you're doing to him is wrong. I mean, what does he want? They didn't cut him. They could have just cut him. They should have probably just cut him. Everybody thought they would cut him. Everybody thought they should cut him. They held on to him. They've stuck with him this whole time. Maybe they haven't been as upfront and outspoken about being, how much they value him. But that's no reason to give them the cold shoulder after all this time and say, nope, I'm not going to come back and play for you. And granted, he hasn't said that, but that's what we're all being led to believe by the stories that are coming out about him and how he feels about things. So, if I may, I'm going to issue a quick message to Mr. Adrian Peterson. I know he's listening to the show tonight, so I'm going to issue him a special message. Adrian, the Vikings haven't done a single thing to hurt you, harm you, threaten you, endanger you, decrease the quality of your life in any way whatsoever. You have done these things to yourself by your actions and your choices. We're people